Now, obviously, gamers have had problems with journalists for a heck of a long time. They don't actually care about this industry or about gamers. They just care about profiting off of us, and they really just want our viewership, whether it is positive or negative. They are perfectly fine with getting hate clicks because ultimately they are still clicks, but it seems that they are not even getting those anymore because their viewership has been slashed over the last couple of years. We've seen layoffs at all of the major companies or even sell-offs, though now IGN is being hit by layoffs as the parent company. Ziff Davis cuts costs. Now, with the rise of independent creators on platforms like X, like Twitch, even like YouTube, they have become even more irrelevant. But a major issue is that gamers do not trust them anymore. They will jump at any opportunity to attack us, and they're basically just corporate mouthpieces. They are paid to promote these certain companies, and if the Nintendos and Microsofts and Sony's stopped giving them early access to video games and giving them exclusive interviews, they would have nothing to provide to this industry. It says, though, Ziff Davis-owned IGN Entertainment has laid off staff, including 8 members of the IGN Creators Guild. Those cuts represent 12% of the bargaining unit. The layoffs are the latest shift in the turbulent gaming media landscape. Earlier this year, Verge parent company Vox Media sold Polygon to Game Rant owner Valnet. Giant Bomb went independent, and Game Informer returned after being shut down by GameStop. Last week, Ziff Davis also laid off staff at CNET. You also have to consider that Geo Media wound down by selling off Kotaku, one of its last sites, and this was only a couple of weeks ago. Really, it was at the beginning of July. Geo Media, the digital media publisher that once owned sites like Jezebel and Deadspin, announced that it was winding down its operations and selling off one of its last properties, the video game website Kotaku. Geo Media, which is owned by the private equity firm Great Hill Partners, once owned a collection of websites that had belonged to the Gawker Media blog universe and The Onion, but it has slowly been shedding its holdings. With the sale of Kotaku, only one website remains, The Root, which covers Black culture and news. Geo Media's chief executive said in a statement that it became clear to our investors that it was time to move on. Yeah, because they're not making any money anymore when individual content creators on platforms like YouTube and X are doing so well. And then you also have the major disconnect between readers and these journalists. Why would I go to IGN or Polygon or Kotaku to consume opinions, especially when they are so out of touch with what gamers actually want? I wouldn't go to IGN or Polygon or Kotaku to read even generic pieces like what are the best Zelda games, because their opinions and ours are wildly different. Their view on the access media and the video game industry are wildly different because they are in the thick of it. They do not really think for themselves. They just promote certain companies that are paying them. They just promote certain products that they personally believe are going to be big hits. And of course, they ignore certain games because they view them as being made by bigots, or they think that that game holds inappropriate content. We didn't see much coverage for a game like Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. We did see a lot of coverage for something like Stellar Blade, but most of it was negative because they believed it objectified women and Eve was just a sex doll. I mean, all of these ridiculous stances. This is why you have become irrelevant, and you're really only digging yourself deeper into the hole of irrelevancy. Laid off IGN staffers include the former senior features editor and video editors, but no single department was primarily targeted by the cuts. And even though it's not a large number of people, right? Like 100 or 200 or 500, we're still talking about a lot in the context of IGN and how small these outlets have really become by this point. Rebecca Valentine, the IGN senior reporter and co-chair of the Guild, tells The Verge it was largely single individuals from different departments. Now, of course, I do not like to revel in the fact that people are losing their jobs, but after the years of attacking gamers and belittling gamers and promoting certain games because they push a certain narrative that you agree with and they push the politics you align with, yeah, I can't say that I feel all that bad for what is happening to all all of these outlets at this point. I'm not going to shed a tear for IGN. I'm not going to shed a tear for Polygon or Kotaku or the Mary Sue. Like, I have no faith or trust in them, and neither do most gamers. The only way that they have survived until this point is number one, their hate clicks, right? They put out hit pieces that get all of these clicks. Even if they're negative, they're still clicks. So they say, you know what, it's better than nothing. And because the mainstream media is giving them enough money to stay alive, they're giving them tons of free products and exclusive interviews. And there are also a lot of normies out there who will search up, I don't know, let's just say for argument's sake, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers playthrough, and they're looking up one specific boss, and well, they just click the first page that pops up on Google, and then it happens to be a Kotaku or an IGN. So those are really the only ways that they have survived up until this point, and that's just not going to continue. It says, though, the company has told us that the reason for this layoff stems from a Ziff Davis mandate to cut costs despite several quarters in a row of year-over-year revenue increases, to which IGN Entertainment responded by coming for our members' jobs, the guild says. This is perplexing to us, as we are told again and again that IGN Entertainment has had a tremendously successful year thus far, thanks to their hard work. Well, yeah, I mean, look at what's happening at Microsoft, right? They cut off thousands upon thousands of jobs, and they're replacing those people with AI, and they're seeing record profits. That's just what we're going to see happening in a lot of fields, unfortunately. And, well, journalism is definitely one of them, as we can see. An employee in the engineering department was also laid off. A representative of the Pacific Media Workers Guild, which represents the IGN Creators Guild, tells The Verge. Now, Ziff Davis didn't immediately reply to a request for comment. Last year, across all Ziff Davis, the company employed approximately 3,800 people, according to a SEC filing. Last year, IGN acquired the website portfolio of Gamer Network, which includes publications like Eurogamer, GamesIndustry.biz, and Rock Paper Shotgun. So that, to me, screams that they wanted it to be successful. Like, they wanted to continue to grow their portfolio and get all of these big names, and they were hoping that they were going to find more success this year, and they have made money, right? As it specifies, year over year, they're seeing tremendous success, but ultimately, when you have pushed people away, there's very, very little chance that you are actually going to dig yourself out of the hole that really you dug yourself into in the first place. If these people had a shred of respect for gamers, I would not be sitting here and praising this decision or pointing and laughing at this decision, but they've pushed gamers away so often, they've attacked us so often that, yeah, I just can't say I feel all that bad for these individuals, and we're definitely seeing a large shift in the gaming media landscape. As it had specified, the Verge parent company, Vox Media, sold Polygon to Game Rant owner Valnet. Giant Bomb went independent. Game Informer returned after being shut down by GameStop. Of course, the main one that I would say is Kotaku. Kotaku was sold off, so I'll be keeping my eye on this, but ultimately, I don't really care. I know a lot of other gamers don't care, and you are really just getting what you deserve. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.